We are live.
We are live.
You are watching and listening any given Sunday, the Monday edition for Monday, June 13th, 2022. I'm your host, Manny Brown, joined as always by my co-host, Josh Rodriguez. Josh, what is good?
What's good is that the Warriors are one game away from pretty much fulfilling my prediction of Warriors in 6. So that's good.
Hey, I had Warriors in 7, so listen, don't what is that old saying? Don't count your chickens or don't count your eggs before they hatch, something like
Don't
that.
count your
Something
chickens before they hatch.
I don't know. Boomers in the comments and if you're listening, let us know. What's that old saying? Yeah, man. Warriors, one win away from an NBA championship. Um, yeah, game 5 was this evening. It's been a weird series. It's been a really weird series. It feels like no team has really played a complete game.
No.
It's weird because if like game 1, the Warriors were the best team for like 3 quarters. And then the Celtics obviously shot the lights out of the ball and won. I was going away. Yeah, they won by 12, I think, game 1. And then obviously
Yeah.
game 2, was the Celtics kind of matched the Warriors' energy for the first half, and then the Warriors kind of took over, in the second half and won going away, obviously in game 2. Game 3, Celtics got off to that big lead. Warriors came back, took the lead. You thought that it was going to be a drag out brawl in the fourth quarter. Then the Celtics kind of, gathered themselves and won going away. Obviously, game 4, I thought the Celtics were the better team for three and a
Same.
half quarters, really.
Same.
And the Warriors just found some resolve somewhere in the database of championships to pull a game out and
Resolve his
won.
name Steph Curry. That's what they found, Manny.
Well, that too, yes. So, a little bit of championship medal and a lot of Steph Curry. Let's just put it that way. And won game 4. And then tonight, it was kind of similar. The Warriors got off to a big lead, played really, really well the first half. And then it, started out the third quarter like it was going to be a little bit more of the same. And then the Celtics just went on a hell of a run, got it, actually took a lead. I think had a 3-point lead at one point.
Yeah, they did.
Late in the third quarter, and then just the Warriors again figured out a way to gather themselves and make some plays, get up, regain the lead, and a little bit of Jordan Poole, a little bit of Clay, a bad shot selections, and bad shooting by Jayson Tatum and the Celtics alike. And here we are. So it's been a really weird series. This has been one of the the oddest NBA finals I've ever seen. Where it just really feels like you could make the case that the Warriors should be kind of up 3-1, but also down 3-1.
They should have won by now. You can make the
It's
case.
weird.
I mean, if they don't give away game 1, they win the series, really. But again, if they don't come back in game 4, I mean, it's so random, man. It's so weird. You come down to the last 2 teams in the league, and I don't trust either one of them. I just trust the Warriors more because I've seen them here before. I see them win the finals. This is the 6th time in 8 years we've seen them, but I would argue that out of the 6 times, this is by far the worst team that has been in the finals. I don't trust them as much as the other teams at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The Warriors they're just a weird team because they sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get out of them. I mean, they just go, and then of course you got Boston, who I think is one of the weirdest teams I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. That's just a team that you just can never really figure it out. They go through, I talked about it last week, I think, but they just go through these offensive dry spells where they just, they just don't even look like the same team. I mean, it just, you're watching them and you're like, this can't be the same team that,
just hit 8 straight threes.
Right, exactly. Just dominated the, it's just one of those weird ass teams that you can't really put your finger on. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the lack of a point guard. I don't know if just the youth and inexperience. I don't know what it is, but Boston's just a really hard team to kind of figure out. But hey, listen, I don't want to sit there and say that the series is over because, like you said, it's hard to trust any one of these 2 teams. I think that you got 2 teams that are both flawed and you really don't know what you're going to get out of them from night to night. So I don't want to say that this series is over, but I think Golden State's in really good shape. I wonder though, and I'll get to you, we'll break down the game a little bit more because I think it's an interesting game, but I wonder if Golden State kind of broke Boston's spirit in this game. You could kind of just tell late in the game, Boston was just kind of dumb fouls, dumb shots. That's usually a product of, you know, annoyance and letting the moment kind of get to you. And it just kind of feels like Golden State might have broken Boston's spirit. I don't want to get ahead of myself because, again, two
Yeah.
teams that you really can't trust. And would anybody be surprised if Boston comes out Thursday night and puts up a great performance at home
No.
with their season on the line? I wouldn't.
No.
But yeah, I just kind of saw. I didn't like the body language from Boston in game. At the end of this game, it really just felt like a team that you could kind of just feel like their will
I
might
mean,
have been broken.
yeah, I mean, for most of the game, for the whole first half, especially the first quarter, you felt that too. It was just the
Yeah.
third quarter that was just a different Boston team. I mean, but for most of the game, they just seemed, I wouldn't say uninterested. It's kind of an insult to say that a team in game 5 of the NBA finals is uninterested, but Golden State definitely came into this game with more uh I guess fire, not that I hate the term wanted it more, but they seemed,
Mhm.
and some would argue that this is an experience thing, like, all right, game 5 ready to go. And they pounced on Boston right away. And I don't think Boston really took the punch very well. If not for the Warriors kind of going cold in the second half, second quarter, they would have ran away with it. But yeah, this is a weird series, man. This is a weird series that you just said. I can't put my finger on any team. At once I think a team is like the better team, all of a sudden they go cold and they become unrecognizable. And like I said, I
Mhm.
just trust the Warriors a little bit more because I've seen them here before. But out of the 6 teams that they've made the finals, I still think this is the worst Warriors team out of all the 6 teams. So, they go into Boston on Thursday. You got to believe that Boston's going to come out the gates. They're going to have a good first quarter. They're going to put some pressure on the Warriors. That crowd's going to be way into it. I'll be surprised if we had the same start that we had here in Golden State in game 5. I expect Boston to come out, and just whether or not Golden State can take that first punch and punch right back, I think that's going to determine whether or not the Celtics or Warriors win on Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. Listen, if you're a Boston fan and I told you that Steph Curry, the great Steph Curry, the guy who everybody is basically pulling to win a Finals MVP, right? If I would have told you that he had 15 points, shot 20% from the field, something like that, something crazy
0
like
for
that.
9 from
Yeah,
3.
31%, 32% from the field.
Yeah,
Was 7 of 22. You would think you would feel really good about that game, would you not? You would
that's a
think that,
dub.
wow, we really dodged a bullet.
Yep.
One of the best players of all time, shot 32% from the field. One of the greatest shooters of all time, shot 32% from the field. We held them to 15 points. Their best player, clearly their best offensive player. We held them for 15 points. You would think you won that game, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what makes this game demoralizing if you're a Boston fan. Is just the fact that you really got a bad game from Steph Curry, and it really didn't matter. I thought, remember we've been talking this whole entire series about, Steph Curry needs more help. The others needs to show up. The Klay Thompsons, the Andrew Wiggins, the Otto Porters, the Draymonds, obviously, the GP2s, the Iguodalas, the Jordan Pooles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The others need to show up. And in this game, they did. In this game, they did. I mean, Gary Payton II had 16 points. Kevin Looney had 12. Obviously, we talked about Steph had 15. Klay, I think, had 21. And then Andrew Wiggins, let's not bury the lead. Andrew Wiggins balled out. Probably had his best game of his career, really, in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, when you think about the moment and, the setting and everything. Yeah, so listen, if you're a Boston fan, I think this one hurts. And again, I don't want to overdo it because, again, if you're Boston, you still feel pretty good. You're going back home, game 6 in your building, in the amazing, Boston Garden or whatever. So I think you still have a chance. But yeah, I just think that this is a game that, to me, you got to figure out a way to win, especially after you make that comeback and you take the lead in this game after the Warriors have played so well in the first half. You make that comeback and you take the lead, and you're holding Steph Curry to one of his worst shooting performances of the series. That's a game you got to win, man. That's a game you absolutely have to figure out how to win, and they didn't. And yeah, that just kind of spells a bad omen for me. But yeah, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk. It's Andrew Wiggins.
Whew.
Let's talk about the Canadian, the Maple Mamba, the
We're
Canadian
talking about
Mamba, the
Andrew
Canadian
Wiggins
Kobe,
having
whatever you want to call him, right?
the best
Um,
player on the court in the most important game of the year.
Ask a
NBA
Timberwolves
Finals.
fan if they could have foreseen this.
No, ask any NBA fan. Come on, let's
Yeah.
be honest, man. Let's be honest.
Listen, I give that kid credit, man. That kid
So do
had,
I. I'm so happy for him. I am.
yeah,
Yeah.
listen, a lot of times we want to bury guys. A lot of times we want to kind of throw guys under the bus and say, he's a bust. He's never, he's not this, he's not that. Oh my God, what do I, and obviously you look at the hype that he came in, really out of high school, coming out of Canada. Everybody basically lauding him as the next great NBA prospect. I mean, I remember it when he was going, in college and he was being recruited. Obviously, he ended up going to Kansas. Andrew Wiggins was looked at as the next big thing, right? And he kind of had an underwhelming freshman season in Kansas. Really didn't really live up to expectations. His teammate, who ended up being drafted third overall, kind of took a lot of the shine away from him as the season progressed in college. And Andrew Wiggins is just, but even with all that, even with the up and down regular season, up and down freshman season in Kansas, still was the number one overall pick, was a guy that was seen as a transcendent talent and never quite lived up to it in Minnesota. For whatever the reason, you could say it was just himself, his own talent, immaturity, whatever, lack of talent, whatever you want to call it. You could say it was the situation in Minnesota, obviously being Minnesota. And, you could say it was a lot of things, but at the end of the day, he never quite lived up to the hype. And then he got traded. And listen, he's been the Warriors, second best player?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
The
easily.
last, this past season for sure. Yeah, man, I'm happy for that kid. There's a lot of guys like that, their careers there's a narrative and a label that gets attached to their careers, and then they just kind of get traded a couple times, and then they kind of just fall victims to the narrative, right? And the fact that he's able to go to Golden State now, obviously he's in Golden State, a great system for him. He's not KD. Let's not get confused. He's not KD, but he's a better Harrison Barnes. That's for sure.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you got to be happy for Andrew Wiggins, man. He's really been the unsung hero of the Warriors. He's really played and stepped up big time when they've needed him the most. And he had a hell of a game tonight.
He was the best player on the court for either team.
Yeah.
Easily on both ends of the ball too. It wasn't just offensively. I mean, obviously
his
he
defense.
got going. Yeah,
his
defensively.
Defense.
He forced Jayson Tatum into some bad shots and bad decisions, especially in the fourth quarter there. Tatum did get hot in the third, and because that's Jayson Tatum, that's what's going to happen. But Andrew really did a nice job on him in the fourth quarter, and it's just really nice to see it. And it goes to show that your situation matters in every sport, really. I know we talk a lot about it in football, where it's like, well, if you're not drafted in the right spot, in the right offense, with the right coordinator, your talents can go to waste. Well, the same thing in basketball. You get drafted to Minnesota, an organization that historically doesn't know what to do with talent. He kind of wastes away. And he finds a home in Golden State. And I also think, we forget that a lot of these kids, they're kids when they're drafted. They're 19 years old. They're 20 years old. A lot of just comes with maturing as a human being. You're a different person at the age 26, 27 than you are as a 20-year-old. You see things differently. Your perspective is differently. You handle situations differently. So, I don't know Andrew. I don't know what type of person he is. I don't know what he's like off the court. He seems like a nice guy, but, sometimes you just need to mature and come into your own. And I think it's kind of like the perfect storm for him. He's in the right organization, in the right system, maturing at the right time. And I'm just really happy for him because he's really talented. And I can't even imagine having that label of a bust on you, even though you've won Rookie of the Year, even though you've averaged 20 points per game in your career.
Yeah, had some good seasons. Had some good seasons.
Yeah,
in Minnesota,
it's
sure.
a kind of a wild.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a kind of a wild thing where people look at you like, oh, he's a bust or he's not that good. When this man is literally average, he's had seasons where he's averaged 20 a game. It's not like
you listen to some folks on NBA Twitter, you basically think he's like
Michael Carter Williams or something like or Anthony
right?
Bennett. Like, come on,
exactly,
this guy, he's an all-star for a reason. I understand some people had a problem with it, but I'm just really happy for him. It goes to show that your career really never is over as long as you are in your athletic prime, I think, and you just got to find the right spot.
Absolutely. And again, it's him finding a home, finding a team that could utilize the best of his abilities. And I think it's just finding a situation where hey, listen, he may have number one talent, but he's not a number one. He's
No, and
better
that's
suited to
fine.
be a number
And that's
2, a
okay.
number 3,
Yeah.
ideally a number 3 on a really great championship team. There's nothing wrong with that. The NBA
Right.
is littered with guys that are 3 guys that are just the third option on a really great championship
Yeah.
team. Guys even make the Hall of Fame being the third option, the third man,
Yeah. There's like 6 to 8 players in the league who I can be like, "Oh, that's a number 1 option for a championship team." Like, there's like 8 guys. So there's no shame in it.
Yeah, there's no shame in that. There's no
Yeah.
shame in that. So, yeah, big ups to Andrew Wiggins, man. That kid could have went into NBA Siberia and NBA
Yep.
obscurity, and his career could have been all messed up. But hey, listen, he's in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, scoring 26 and 13,
Whew.
and dropping posters on the Celtics. And
Yeah.
yeah, here we are. Here we are. Draymond.
Great game.
Uh,
Well, great first half. Great first half. Great
He
first
did
half.
have a great first half.
Yeah.
Still not scoring points as much as you
That's
would.
okay.
But listen, it's Draymond. I don't think you ever really,
Yeah.
want him to really. Although it's been so mystified. He's got to be hurt, right? Like he's got to be injured. He's got to be nursing some sort of injury that no one's really talking about. Because how poorly he played the first 4 games of the series. It's just. It's not normal. I mean, he just didn't look right.
Defensively, it's weird. Offensively, it can make sense to me. It's like, oh, they're playing off of him. They're like, there's things you can do offensively. So Draymond's not effective because he can't shoot the ball. It's weird seeing Jaylen Brown take it to him on the other end of the floor. And Jalen's great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for him to get into the paint, body him, and like hit these fadeaway jumpers or get into the lane on
Draymond was a negative defensively. When have you ever seen in his career that Draymond's been a negative?
I mean, I say all the time, I think he's the best defender in the league. I mean, you can make the case. I mean, when Kawhi's there, I think Kawhi's, in consideration, Rudy Gobert, you have those players. But I mean, you can make the case for Draymond being the best defender in the league. And to see him literally be the worst defender on the Warriors was weird. It was weird. So that's where it was kind of odd to me. So,
and where's his offense gone? Like that's something that I've wondered aloud for
right. He used to be able to shoot the 3.
Like, he used to be able to shoot the 3. He used to be
Yeah.
someone that you could at least count on to give you 10, 12, 14 points or whatever. And his offense has just disappeared. I mean, completely. I mean, I'm not saying you got to be out there giving me, open threes, but geez, I mean, can I get 10, 12 points just easily? Just pick and pop? Like like a little 18-foot jump shot, like nothing, like a little Kurt Thomas offense, like nothing.
Yeah, he like lost his. I don't know what it is. He lost confidence. He shot like 37% from 3 1 year, which is above average.
For him is pretty good.
I don't understand. I mean, he was more aggressive today, especially in the first half. Like I said, I think he had 8 points in the first half, and then he kind of slowed down towards the end. He was in foul trouble, so that probably had a little bit to do with it as well. But yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, this is a guy who scored like 35 points in a Game 7 against LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
A triple-double, I believe, right?
Yeah, a triple-double. Yeah.
Forgotten triple-double.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, Draymond has been an interesting kind of case study in analyzing these finals because, he's 1 win away from kind of being basically let off the hook,
Right.
but also 2 games away from being the ultimate GOAT in these finals. Now, listen, I like Draymond. A lot of people hate Draymond. He's one of those guys that if he's on your team or the team that you root for, you love him. And he's one of those guys that if he plays for the team you hate or the team you're playing against, you hate him. It's that simple. There's no in between with Draymond.
Right.
But I will attest though, even as much as I like Draymond Green as a player, as a basketball mind, whatever we want to call it, he's someone that, listen, for all the shit that he talks, for all the shit that he pops on the court, I need more production than 2 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Like I need more production. Right. Like you got to give me more than that, Draymond. You're starting to get a little bit hard to defend when you're giving me. I mean, when you've got more fouls than you do points.
Yeah, I think defensively that's where it is for me. If you're gonna give me Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond, every game, then talk your shit. But if you're gonna be a negative on defense and talk shit and have 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting, and okay, then not only.
And I don't think anybody's asking for 25 points.
No,
just be productive. Just give me 12 points.
Right.
12 easily 10 to 12 points.
Right.
Where you're somewhat of a factor offensively. You know how hard it is to basically score 2 points in an NBA game for a player
and be that involved in that offense too.
Exactly, to be that involved, to get that many touches, to be a player of the caliber of Draymond Green. You know how hard it is to really score 2 points, 4 points. Like that's bad. That is bad. That is very bad. I
Oh
mean,
man.
when we're in a situation where we're making tweets about how Draymond Green should be benched for Kevon Looney or Jonathan Kuminga or insert Warriors bench player, like
Right.
that's really bad. But listen, it still is Draymond. He still is someone that, in a lot of ways, he's kind of like Clay, where it's like you trust him still in big
Yeah.
spots because he's going to make the right pass. He's going to make a play that's going to help you win a game. So I think that's why a lot of people still kind of tolerate Draymond, because
Right.
that in a big moment, he's still liable to come up big. So it is what it is. But yeah, I've found his whole complete meltdown, let's put it that way, has been quite a sight to see. Um,
It's
in these
weird. I
finals.
mean, his mom was talking shit, so
I mean, even his mother.
whenever.
Yeah, exactly. That should tell you everything that you need to know. Like when your own mother is
Yeah.
essentially like, "Yo, I don't even know who this
Like, I
person
don't know who
is
that. I
that's
do not
playing."
recognize my son. This is
Yeah. Let's talk about Boston, man. A lot of talk about Jayson Tatum. Kind of a lot of people I know, a lot of the group chats that I'm in are
oh
basically
man,
filleting Jayson Tatum, man,
poor
saying that,
Jason.
hey, he's looking like a guy that the moment is looking a little bit too big for. I wouldn't say
No,
that.
I'm not taking it that far.
I'm not going to take it that far. Look, statistically, he's having really good games, statistically, but statistics can, I don't want to say lie, but mislead. Yeah, he hasn't been the best. He has not played his best in these NBA finals. I think even Jayson Tatum would probably tell you that. He's had his moments. He's had his spurts where he's been really good. He's been the best player on the court.
Right.
But I think the big thing is, though, having the conference finals that he had, having the series against Milwaukee that he had, especially that game 6 and game 7. And then of course carrying over to the conference finals, like I said, I think a lot of people expected him to kind of match Curry point for point in these finals. And he's had some dumb turnovers, bad
Yeah.
shots. You know, I think that their shoulder injury might be, not giving him an excuse, not trying to give him an out, but I think that the shoulder injury is probably a little bit more than I think him or Boston are letting on,
Yeah.
because he's just had trouble holding on to the basketball. I mean, he's just been turnover prone. Um, Talk to me about Jayson Tatum. What are you seeing from him?
Um.
Are you concerned? Or you think that he's really not playing up to the level that he should as a guy of his ilk?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not playing up to his capabilities. I think that's fair to say, but I wouldn't go as far as saying he's like choking or playing terribly. I mean, he's had quarters in this series. Game 2, he had a quarter where he was just unstoppable. In this game, I mean, the third quarter he was unconscious.
Yeah.
Um, but again, in this same game, like game 5 today, the first quarter he was nowhere to be found, didn't have a shot attempt. Second quarter, he was 3 for 3. He was a reason why he stayed in the game. Third quarter, he was fantastic. And then the fourth quarter, he went missing. I think today's game was pretty much a microcosm of like what he's been in this series. To me, and there's a stat, I don't know what the stat is after today's game, but basically he's struggling from 2-point range. He's shooting like 20 something percent. And that's to me where the big difference. He's not getting to the hole. He's not finishing when he gets there. He's settling for these like in between 20, 14 footers that he normally doesn't take. He's usually going to the rim, or it's kind of a mid range, and he just kind of seems a little off there. But yeah, I don't think the moment's too big. I don't like really ascribing that to players. I mean, this guy went to Duke University. He's played in big games all his life. I mean, he's fine. He's not he's not feeling the pressure of the moment. He's just, you're playing against a Golden State Warriors team and a defense and Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, who are both physical top tier defenders. You're gonna have trouble sometimes, and he's having trouble every once in a while, but he's not playing bad. He's giving you he's a C right now. If I'm giving him a letter grade, he's a C, and you need him to be an A- minimum. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think we want to basically put narratives and labels around guys already. I mean, listen, it's his first NBA finals. I mean, what is Jayson Tatum, 24, 25?
Yeah,
His first NBA
and
finals.
he's not playing bad.
But-
He's
Yeah, he's
not
not
playing
playing
great.
bad, but I think a lot of people, like you said, he's not. I think that to some people, a C is just not good enough, right? Like you're Jayson
I agree.
Tatum,
That's
you're
fair.
you're a guy that's looked at as being one of the 10, 15 best players in the sport. You're 24, 25 years old, first real moment to shine in the NBA finals. And a C. It's like, it's
Yeah, it's not good enough.
good, but that's
Right.
not good enough. And listen, that's a great observation and great point. I can attest to that. But to sit there and now write a narrative that like Jayson Tatum now is soft, or he's coming up small in the biggest of moments. Now I'm not going to go that far, but listen, he's still a guy that can still take the series over. So
Right.
let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, I mean, even tonight, 27-10, he was good.
It didn't
He
feel
was
like
all right,
27 and
but he
10.
didn't feel
Right.
like 20.
Yeah.
If you're into plus minuses, he was a minus 13.
Mhm.
It's like,
It's the turnovers too, like you said. You said
yeah,
that
the
when you first
turnovers. Yeah,
talked. Yeah, it's the turnovers that are killing it. It's some bad turnovers. It's
yeah,
sloppy
man, had
looking
some bad
basketball.
air balls there in the fourth quarter,
Right,
forcing
and when
shots.
he's missing, it's like, ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
looks bad. It
yeah,
looks bad because he shot like 50% today. I was just
yeah,
at the stats. That's a good shooting game, but
yeah,
his misses were like, ugh. And some of his turnovers, like he threw one ball in the stands to start the game. It's like, oh,
yeah.
like,
And then
nice.
he's another one that got kind of caught up in the antics, holding on to the ball there. Draymond trying to get it
And
back,
that's what
again,
Draymond,
little
yeah.
stuff, but it's like stuff that when Jayson Tatum, you never see Jayson Tatum kind of get caught up in that stuff. And for you seeing Jayson Tatum, struggling, you see him get caught up in the antics, stuff like that. You just it's not a good look. It's not a good look for Jayson Tatum. So um
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's interesting. The rest of the team, I mean, Horford had not. That's the other thing. I don't think Boston played that bad. Like I thought they played okay. I mean, they played well enough to win. I mean, Marcus Smart had 20 points. Jaylen Brown had 18. Okay, you can
Yep.
argue that maybe I need a little bit more from Jaylen Brown. You need him to have at least 20, 25 for that team to really be in a good spot. But Marcus Smart had 20. Like I said, Jaylen Brown had 18. Robert Williams had 10. Al Horford had 9. I mean, they didn't get much of anything else from anybody else.
Right.
Grant Williams only had 3. Derek White
Derek
only had
White was
1
nowhere to be
point.
found. Yeah.
Nowhere to be found. And
Peyton
he's
Pritchard's been awful. Pritchard's been
he's up
awful.
and down. Derek
Yeah.
White, sometimes he's a guy that'll score 21 game and then go MIA another game. I mean, listen, he's a role player at the end of the day, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing that you can. I mean, Peyton Pritchard didn't really play much, didn't really contribute much of anything, but he also played only like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what to say from the Boston perspective. I mean, I think the big thing you could say is obviously Tatum needs to play better, and even Jaylen Brown,
Jaylen was
18
bad today.
points,
Jaylen
9
was bad today.
rebounds.
He was bad today.
Shot
He missed
27% from the field.
missed
Like,
open threes. He started
yeah,
the game off really sloppy and just he was bad today. Jaylen was bad today.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I agree. I agree. That's the only guy that you could really like point at that, like, okay, I need more from Jaylen Brown. I need him to be in the mid to high 20s for that team to really be on at a level where they're winning a game. So, yeah, I mean, I I think that that's the only if you're a Boston fan, I think that that's the only gripe that you really have. Is obviously Jayson Tatum's need to play better. He just needs to. Even though he had 27 and 10 and shot 50% from the field, I need more from Jayson Tatum. If you're a superstar,
Yeah.
you're that guy, you want to be on that pantheon of Paul Pierce, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, Sam Jones, Havlicek, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I need more than a quiet 27 and 10. So
That's fair.
yeah.
That's
So
fair.
I guess let's play this out Thursday night, game 6. What do you think right now? Gun to your head. Well, sorry, bad
Water gun.
analogy in the
Water gun.
country we're living in, and water gun to the head. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think we're gonna see on Thursday night?
Man, so I picked Golden State in 6 to start the series, and I feel obligated to stick with that. Although my head is saying it's 50-50. Like, I could totally see Boston coming out and winning this game by 15. Like, neither is going to shock me. I do think, if I'm going to make one prediction, and I said this before, I think Boston's come out the gate strong. It's been one of those games where, midway through the first quarter, it's like 22-9 Celtics, just like it was in game 4. I think it's going to be one of those type of games, and whether or not the Warriors can take that punch and come back will decide whether or not who's going to win that game. Because I do think that the Warriors can get themselves back into the game, especially with their third quarters that, they've been winning for the most part. They didn't win it today, but for the most part in the series, if they can have a strong third quarter and close the gap in the fourth quarter, I think if the game's close, I think the Warriors take it. I think the Celtics will win if they're able to keep distance. So I'll stick with my pick. Warriors in 6. Steph Curry Finals MVP. Andrew Wiggins is validated for the rest of his career. And the Warriors won the title.
Yeah. I picked the Celtics, or I picked the Warriors in 7. Man, I'm kind of with you right now, 50-50. I think Boston could come out and just drill Golden State in game 6, or I could also see Boston coming out, on fire first quarter, first half maybe, and then Golden State kind of settles the game, and then they're in for a nail biter in game 6, and Golden State eventually pulls it out. Or, I could see, Boston, like I said, drilling them and forcing a game 7. Man, I guess if I have to pick, I'm going to stick with my initial prediction. I'm going to go with Boston wins on Thursday night. I'm not confident in it. I did start off the show by saying that maybe Golden State had broken Boston's will, but I think this is a series that has 7 games written all over it.
Yeah.
Even tonight, Boston could have won that game tonight.
Yeah. Very winnable game.
Very winnable game.
They should
for
have,
as well as Golden State played.
Should have won game 4. So
Yep. So even though Golden State's up 3-2, it's a real tenuous lead on the series, if we're being honest here. But yeah, I think Boston wins on Thursday night. I think they force game 7. I think it'll be kind of one of those games that's similar to game 3, game 4. Boston will come out on fire for whatever the reason, turnovers, bad shooting droughts, whatever. They'll let Golden State back in the game. Golden State will have a chance. And I think Boston kind of pulls away late in the 4th. And I think they force game 7. And I think game 7 on Sunday night, Father's Day, Juneteenth, and whatever, it's going to be a good night for the NBA.
We'll see. I mean, game 7 is what every neutral fan wants. I don't know if I'm a Knicks
fan. A competitive game 7 too. I don't want a Milwaukee Boston game 7,
right?
Where it's just a nothing game.
I want to see,
God forbid, even a Phoenix Dallas. Oh gosh,
I want to see Warriors down 1. Steph Curry with the ball at the top of the key with the ball in his hands.
Agreed. I listen. I myself have been talking about how I feel like these NBA playoffs have kind of been a dud. They haven't really been that great or that competitive. And I think the records bear it out. I think this has been like the NBA playoffs with the most blowouts in history.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. I think I saw the last time I saw the stat, it was like 20 something or like 12 something. I'm not even going to butcher it, but I know it's been a shitload of 20 plus point blowouts, which has been the most in NBA history. And I looked that stat and I found that stat out like at the end of, or at the beginning of the conference finals. So now with the conference finals playing out and now this series, I'm sure that number has gone up quite a bit. So yeah, I think these NBA playoffs have been a little underwhelming. I mean, they've had their moments, but there hasn't been any. I honestly, the best series was probably Pelicans Suns. As far as just good basketball for 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, games are close. Like there was no blowouts really that I could think of. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there was like 1 or 2. There was like one game, or game 1 was like a blowout.
Bucks Celtics was pretty good. Bucks Celtics was okay actually. Well, T-Wolves Grizzlies.
Game 7 didn't really end. It didn't end with that crescendo you'd like for a game 7 of that magnitude of that series. With obviously Giannis being the best player or one of the best players in the world, Jayson Tatum, Boston, Milwaukee, a long-standing rivalry. You wanted a kind of closer game 7, and it was just a non-competitive one. I mean, I'm trying to. Grizzlies and Warriors was good until Ja got hurt.
Right.
I still think the 2 best games of these entire playoffs were probably game 2, Warriors Mavs, where the Mavs were up by like 19 and the Warriors came back.
Yeah.
And Warriors Grizzlies game 1.
Celtics Nets game 1 was good. Tatum layup.
That one was good too. That one was a good game. So again, it's like little pockets, little games here and there that were really good. But there hasn't just been, I don't know. It's just been
it's been an awful playoffs. It's blowouts everywhere. I mean, I'll say this. I've been entertained. I think this is a good final. I'm enjoying watching the games. It's just weird to know that when you look at the scores that they're all been decided by double digits. It's like, oh, okay. It's like teams are pulling away at the end.
Yeah, they feel like they're close. They're much closer games than the actual score dictates.
Yeah.
But yeah. I want to see. again, Thursday night, close game, classic game 6, and then I want to see a classic game 7.
Yeah.
As a basketball fan, not having any rooting interest. Obviously, I hate the Celtics. Full disclosure, I'm a Laker fan. But I just want to see tight, close, competitive games throughout. So yeah, we'll see. We were gonna do a much longer show, but we can't tonight. So I'm gonna save the politics for
Oh yes, good.
Sunday.
Good.
I'm gonna save the politics for Sunday. So I guess we'll just we'll finish up with a couple items. First of all, if you're a Laker fan, and I'm only asking this question because I was in a Spaces earlier, and we were in a Laker Spaces basically, and we were talking about Anthony Davis's comments on a show, vlog, whatever, online a couple days ago, where he says he hasn't picked up a basketball since April. How concerned should you be if you're a Laker fan, Josh?
I don't
That
know, man.
Anthony Davis basically says, I have not picked up a basketball since April. How concerned? Very concerned, slightly concerned, or it's a bunch of bullshit?
To me, all right, so I'll say this. I think it's closer to it's a bunch of bullshit than anything, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I think NBA players take more breaks than the average fan thinks. It is June, so you would hope that he got in the gym a little bit here and there. To me, with AD, though, it's all about two things. One, that he stays healthy, because it doesn't matter how many jump shots he takes during the summer. If he's not staying healthy, it doesn't really matter. And then two, his mentality. You have Darvin Ham in there, and I think a big reason why he was hired was to instill that dog in AD. If AD's aggressive, if he's mean, if he's just aggressive, I think you're a different play. He's a different player, and he's a whole different animal. So to me, it's more mentally and physically than it is like whether or not he's going to have a jump shot to start the season. I think he'll be fine. I'm not really worried about his skill set. I don't know if it speaks to a larger issue of like him not taking the offseason seriously. I wouldn't take it that far, but I can see why Laker fans might think that. But personally, removed from the situation, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Why? What do you think?
Listen, I think it's a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
I think people. I think it's just nonsense. I really do. And listen, I have my issues with AD, but first of all, I hate when like fans, NBA Twitter, whatever you want to call it, they want to get on there and pretend like they're basketball coaches or they're nutritionists or they're shooting. Like, I'm not a professional. Listen,
Right.
I'd like to believe that Anthony Davis cannot shoot a basketball for 2 months, and I don't think he's forgotten how to shoot. I don't think he's forgotten how to play. That's like saying Steven Spielberg hasn't directed a movie in a year, but like, oh, now he can't direct anymore. Like, what? Like that makes no sense. Like, I'm sure Anthony Davis could still play basketball. Now, you may not be able to play at the level that you may want him to, and that's for other reasons, but I'm not going to sit here and basically deduce from a. First of all, I didn't even see the interview, so I hate judging comments not in full context. Like, I don't know what the context of the full conversation was that he was having on this vlog. Did he say, I haven't picked up a basketball since April, but this is why? Or like, I need the full context. And then even if that's what he fully said, like, I haven't done anything basketball related, I would like to think that he's done some workouts, some training, obviously JJ Redick has come out and said that, that's kind of normal for basketball players after the season. They kind of take some time off, work, kind of slowly work on some other things, work on their body, listen, it's much to do about nothing. I think it drew more ire and attention because it is Anthony Davis. It is a guy that has a lot of eyes and lights on him right now because this is kind of a make or break year for Anthony Davis as far as the Lakers go. Like, it's time now. Like, he's 29 years old. He's going to be 30 this year. He's a guy that's making $37 million a year. He's a guy that was brought in to be not only the Robin or at least the 1A, 1B to LeBron, but to be the guy that takes the mantle from LeBron when LeBron eventually leaves and is that guy that you build around. And listen, even if you're the biggest Anthony Davis fan, I don't think that you could feel at the very bit comfortable with that statement right now. I mean, what is Anthony Davis? And I said this on the Spaces, and I was like, can any Laker fan tell me confidently that you trust or you can depend on Anthony Davis for the next 3-4 years? Like guys that get injured in their 20s, in their early 20s, mid 20s, and now late 20s, don't all of a sudden just find the fountain of youth and the fountain of health in their 30s. Like that, like that's a trend. If you get hurt, you're usually going to get like the only other guy that I know that got hurt early on in his career and was able to stay for the most part relatively injury free has been Steph Curry. Anthony Davis is a big man, a lot of miles on that body already. Yeah. And this is the other thing too, because there's other people defending Anthony Davis. It's like, yo, availability is part of greatness.
Yeah, you're great. You're right.
What is it like? Okay, oh well, he's great when he plays. Yeah, he's got to play. What are we talking? What a conversation are we having here? He has
Greg Oden was great too when he played.
You got to play. Right. I can't evaluate you. Well, he's great for 40 games.
Right.
But what about the other 40?
No,
he's not playing. He's not there. Availability is a part of greatness.
You're right.
No one talks about Michael Jordan being the GOAT because he played 42 games. No, he played 82 games.
Right.
Like Kobe, he's one of the GOATs. He played 10. Like, no, you gotta play.
Right.
Like, I don't know why this is like such a hard argument to have with people. And I'm an AD fan. It's not like I'm a Laker hater. I'm a Lakers fan and I'm an AD fan. I still am.
Yeah.
But it's getting harder and harder to defend him when he's always hurt.
Yeah. And it sucks because how do you really trash someone for always being hurt? Like that's something you really can't control. I feel bad for him. But it's true. I mean, when you're thinking about building around someone for the future, you are right. Anthony Davis was supposed to take the mantle from LeBron, and it is a very valid thing to say, hey, man, you always get hurt, and even though that's not your fault, we can't rely on you. You can't do it. And that's where, if I'm a Laker fan, that's where I'm at. I'm not. To me, this year is the last year of whatever window Laker fans think they have to win a championship. To me. I mean, you
know where I'm at. Know where I'm at.
I know exactly.
That window's already shut.
I don't think
there's not even a draft coming in. It's just shut completely.
I think it's shut because of the Russell Westbrook contract, but you can get out of it at the trade deadline. And if you get the right assets and the right pieces, I think it's slightly open, man. It's slightly open, but it's.
Hey, listen, your lips to God's ears, man. I mean, listen, I'm a Laker fan, so of course, if you think it's open, I hope so.
I mean, it's slightly open, and I'm not saying.
I mean, listen, and I'm not an idiot. Of course, if LeBron's healthy, if AD's healthy, and they're playing, if you tell me right now that LeBron and AD are both going to play
70 games,
forget 80, forget 70. If you're telling me that they're going to play a healthy 60 to 65 games, I'll sign up for that.
Right.
I think any Laker fan will sign up for that.
And that's playoffs.
But that's the thing. I don't know. Can I confidently tell you that I'm going to get 65 games out of AD?
I mean, honestly, even LeBron at this point too.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Even LeBron.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. He's still statistically great, but even LeBron has had his injury issues since he's been with the Lakers. I mean, he's had his 2-3 week sabbaticals. Am I gonna get? And listen, eventually, even with Tom Brady, eventually, I think age is gonna win out, right? These are just
you would think.
you would think. I'm still waiting for Tom Brady. Shit. Eventually, you think that age is good. Eventually, right?
Right.
God, how long?
Rob Parker has been doubling down on that Brady train for the past 15 years.
My God. Listen, I'm a Brady hater just as much as anybody. But Jesus Christ, the man just keeps defying. Maybe that TB12 diet is something. I don't know.
No, I don't know what it is, man.
Fuck.
I have to do it myself. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
But same thing with LeBron, man. I think age eventually is going to catch up, right? You just have to believe that eventually the dunks that were there are not going to be there, right?
Hurt really up until the past 2 years. I mean, LeBron has been healthy his whole career up until the second half.
And that's a sign of age right there. The fact that you're not healing and recovering as much. You're not. Before when you were 26 and a freaking freak of nature, an ankle sprain, I could play it off, because he's LeBron. Now it's oh shit, it's a 2-week injury.
Right.
That's a sign of age right there. But listen, for the Anthony Davis thing, I think it's a bunch of nothing. Realistically, now the argument could be made that, hey, maybe he should change up his regimen because the fact that he has not played well. He came back. He was last year. He didn't have a really great season. He didn't shoot the ball well from three, which is something that he likes to do. So maybe
Right.
I've heard this argument from Laker fans like, okay, well, maybe he should change up his regimen. Listen, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to even go down that route because who am I to tell Anthony Davis, a world-class professional basketball player, that, maybe he should change up his workout? I mean, listen, the guy's making $37 million a year, was named to the All-75 team, undeservedly, but whatever. You can make the case that he doesn't need my or yours input on training regimens, but whatever. But there's still a fair argument that maybe he should rethink his training regimen, seeing as he's been hurt a lot and his production has declined, at least this year. His past year, it declined significantly. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole because to me, it's just like it's pointless. We'll touch on this more on Sunday's show, but I kind of wanted to get your kind of initial, not initial thoughts, because this has been in the news for a year now.
Yeah.
But just what are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson? 24 lawsuits, civil lawsuits. Got to emphasize civil.
Yeah.
And the report that came out last week, up to 66 women in an 18-month span, something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's different.
Allegedly, gotta say that allegedly.
I mean, come on, I get what you're saying.
Just throwing that out there. Allegedly,
he obviously has a problem. He and that's actually diminishing. He's a serial rapist at this point. It just is what it is. I mean, the man has taken advantage of multiple women. And when I say multiple, I mean dozens upon dozens of women, and I think he should be in jail. Just simply put it that, it kind of sucks because, we touched on this last time we talked about it. Deshaun Watson was like the one black quarterback where it's just like, you can't say nothing about this dude. He's eloquent. He's treats everybody well on the surface. He can pass in the pocket. Like, he was just like every black stereotype he shattered when it came to the black quarterback position. And it just fucking sucks, man. It's a shame. And it's very disappointing to see. And, aside from that, the most important thing is that there are 66 real victims here. I mean, I know it's allegedly, but there are real victims here who have been sexually assaulted by this man who deserve justice. And even though he is who he is, and he was in the public eye for a while, and he was someone who I looked up to as someone who could like take the mantle of possibly being the greatest black quarterback ever. I think he was that good. I'm being honest with you. It fucking sucks. It sucks. And I hope that justice is served and that these women get justice, because what he did allegedly, which I do believe he did, it's just uncalled. It's not just uncalled for. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. And the Cleveland Browns are a disgusting organization.
I'll get to them in a second. Yeah. But listen, while we were watching Game 5, I guess news broke that Tony Busby plans to file 2 more civil lawsuits against Deshaun Watson. So now the total is going up to 26.
Man,
this is a disaster. And I blame, obviously Deshaun Watson is responsible because he's allegedly the pervert at hand here. I blame the Cleveland Browns. I blame the Houston Texans because it definitely looks like the Houston Texans have fostered
they set him up.
Culture of just.
They set him up, and when I say set him up, I mean like they gave him the alley-oop. I don't mean they set him up.
Yeah, they basically harbored a culture that allowed this dude to be, a fucking pervert. Like, clearly. And now, if you think about it, because remember, even when this case first broke, remember when it was around the trade, him, basically requesting a trade or demanding a trade, and conveniently this news broke. Now we know that the Houston Texans knew about this stuff, and how convenient. He requests a trade, and the Texans are like, "Oh, really, motherfucker? Here you go." Now, that still doesn't take away from the fact that he may or may not have done some really foul shit to some women. That being said, I blame the Texans. Like I said, I blame Deshaun Watson. I blame the Cleveland Browns. They are an absolute joke. Jim Haslam. I mean, what do you say? And this is my issue, right? My issue with the NFL is this. for the longest time, they allowed this situation to just basically simmer and bubble. What did we say last year when this thing first kind of came to the surface? I said they need to put this dude on. First of all, they hadn't come out and said anything. The league had not come out and said it. Even to this day, has Roger Goodell
They hoped
addressed
it was
this
going to go away. They hoped it was
at
going to go
all
away.
in a press conference? He's more concerned with the goddamn Pro Bowl. I've heard him say more about the Pro Bowl than anything concerning Deshaun Watson, right? Oh, we need to let the system, the legal system play out. Put this dude, I said this last year, put this dude on an exempt list, on the commissioner's exempt list. That's why it's there. You put this dude on the list, you pay him, and you say, listen, until your legal matters are resolved, you are not playing football. You will not participate in any football activities. You will not be traded. You will not be, you are basically a ghost until your legal drama is taken care of, one way or another. But they let it simmer for a year. The Texans were basically like, oh, I guess we won't play him because we want to trade him. So the Texans still took advantage that he was an asset, and a valuable asset.
Right.
We're still able to trade him. And listen, I don't necessarily just blame the Cleveland Browns. What about the Falcons? What about the Saints? What about the Panthers?
That's
all
true.
These teams
there are other
that
people
were willing
trying to trade for
were
him.
falling all over themselves. To
Right.
acquire this dude.
Right.
Falling all over. Like, did any of these teams do any investigate? Where is this great arm of investigative services that the NFL has, right? These
We
billions
did our
of
research.
dollars,
Trust me. Trust us. Wink, wink.
right? Exactly. Right? You mean to tell me that the Panthers didn't do their research, that the Falcons didn't do their research? Obviously, we know the Browns didn't do shit. Like, all these teams that were falling all over themselves.
Well, the research is okay, what happened, and is this going to come out to bite us?
Did they talk to any of the victims? No, clearly.
Well, they didn't know. They probably didn't know there were as many as that are coming out.
We knew that there was 22, 21,
they
22.
Knew there were 22, but here's the thing. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns and there's 22 that are speaking right now, you go to Deshaun and you go, and this sounds so freaking sleazy, and I don't approve of this, but you go to Deshaun and you say, so are these the only 22? Or is anyone else going to come out? I think Deshaun lied about it because I think he thought those were
did.
Yeah,
I agree.
And
I think he did lie about it, but that
Yeah.
still doesn't absolve the Browns. Because
no.
First of all,
you still don't trade for a serial rapist.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I don't give it. And listen, it's easy for me to say. I'm not a owner of an NFL team that's desperate to win a Super Bowl. That hasn't had a quarterback since Bernie Kosar. I know it's easy for me to sit here in my little area of the world, right?
Zach Wilson's the truth, yo. I believe in Zach Wilson. I do, bro. I like Zach. Sorry, go ahead.
It's easy for me to say, right? But I'd like to think that I have enough morals to be like, yo, this is a guy that's facing 22 civil cases. 22. And listen, for you idiots out there that are still defending Deshaun, we got 22 people are not lying. You can't find 22 people that lie about anything.
66 people aren't lying.
66 people are lying? Now, granted, I'm not saying all of them are telling the truth.
Well, and a lot of these claims, too, are the new ones. These claims were on file before the lawsuits even happened.
Right.
Which shows that they're not just coming out of
but these are just 66 claims. They're not leaving lawsuits. These are the people that have actually taken it to a step further and now want civil action against Deshaun Watson.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is this. 26 people are not lying. You want to tell me 5 are lying? 10 are lying? I'll go there. 26? No. And the fact that you know this and you still say, you know what? We're going to trade for him. But I'll do you one better. We'll trade for him, but then we'll also give him the largest guaranteed deal any NFL player has ever had. Oh, and by the way, here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another kicker. Here's another one. We'll show you how hardcore down for Deshaun we are. If just in case he has to deal with this bullshit ass allegation that he's a pervert or whatever, right? Oh gosh, eye rolls. We'll only pay him $1 million of his salary for 2022. That'll show that that's how supportive we are.
A fully guaranteed contract in the NFL, people, is like, for those of you who don't really follow, which I'm sure you do, but a fully guaranteed contract in the NFL is absurd.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
But think about that. The Browns not only laughed at this situation, they spit on it. They just basically, whatever. The fact that they basically backloaded his contract because they knew he was going to get suspended. Now he's probably going to get suspended more. But the fact that he was essentially, they knew he essentially was going to get suspended. So they were basically like, we'll pay you $1 million for this year. That is a slap in the face. And if you're a Browns fan, and listen, I know you want to win, and I understand that, but bro, seriously, at what point do you hold your nose and be like, yo, there's got to be a will to win, but there's also a point here. Like,
yeah, I mean, most Browns fans weren't on board with it, from what I know, from what I've seen anecdotally. So.
I don't know that many Browns fans. The Browns fans I do know, they were like, shit. Well, I mean, the criminal suits were thrown out.
Isn't it crazy how like sports fandom like will totally drop the morals of a human being?
And listen, I get it. I don't want to sit here and be like I'm some great moral. Like, listen, are there bad guys that have played for the Jets? Absolutely. I've cheered them on and rooted them on. Like, I get it. I understand it. But there does come a point you do have to draw a line. Like, if this dude is guilty of doing the things that he allegedly is presumed to have done, you really got to ask yourself, what line are we willing to cross? What line are we willing not to cross in order to win? And I think that's a question for all 32 owners. Like, I mean, what do you do? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? And this is a sham. I mean, what? Yeah, I listen. We're gonna get into it more on Sunday. Now, obviously, that this now 2 more civil cases have been added, so there's probably more. But I just want to know, what is the NFL doing? I mean, to this day, have you heard the NFL say anything?
No, they haven't.
This report came out last week. The NFL has not said anything. They have been more excited with their schedule and what the hell to do with the Pro Bowl than addressing anything Deshaun Watson related. And don't tell me, well, you want to let the legal system play out. No. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. You got to say something. Mandatory OTAs are starting next week? And what? And the other thing, Stefanski, Haslam, DePodesta,
they all signed off on
the Browns.
They all signed off on this.
You all signed off on it, so I don't want to hear. Oh, we need to let the hear. No. No. Talk.
Every single one of you. Yep.
Every single one of you. You guys all have some questions to answer. I don't want to hear
Baker Mayfield in front of the press conference with the microphone. I want Baker Mayfield there.
Well, the rumor is that Baker Mayfield was the 24th. The 24th. I shouldn't make that joke. It's fucked up. Nah, man. But listen, I think the Browns and listen, if you're in the media, I want you to do your job, and I want you to don't let the Browns off easily. Don't let the NFL off. Like, every press conference, you need to, because like this is ridiculous. Like, what is the NFL wait on? How long is this investigation taking?
I think they're just waiting for everyone to forget about it, or think they thought they would, and they just dug themselves a hole they can't get out of. Like, what do you say at this point? Like, sorry, we didn't say anything sooner. Like, that's what you.
But why do they always keep getting themselves into these situations? Like, they did the same thing with Ray Rice, same thing with what's his face, Greg Hardy. I mean, it's just time after time after time after time. And I know people will sit there and say, well, this is a sports league. This isn't the Justice Department, blah, 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 blah. And like, yeah, part of that I get. But this is also the NFL. They throw their weight around. They pump the chest out. We're the NFL. We're the Shield. We got the biggest and best. This is a league that prints money. You don't think they're hiring FBI, CIA level investigators to investigate this shit?
Right.
But, come on. We'll get into it more on Sunday, but cool. Yeah, Deshaun Watson, man, that's been something that's on my head for a while. Like, and I'll ask Browns fans, like, hey, if this, obviously nothing's going to happen right away. I think they're going to have to let these civil cases play out, and it doesn't look like the NFL is going to do anything as far as a suspension anytime soon. So this dude's going to show up the OTAs, play, be in press conferences. His teammates are going to have to answer questions about it. If you're, I'd love for somebody to ask Jimmy Haslam if one of these 26 women are your daughters, how do you feel?
Oof.
Kevin Stefanski, Mr. Let the process play out. This is your daughter.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
Hey, man. And I listen. I as a fan of a guy as a fan of a team that has not had a quarterback in a very, very, very long time, I understand the trappings and the vulnerability that teams have when they're trying to acquire a quarterback. I know it all too well.
Yeah.
But where do you draw the line? That's all I ask.
mean,
Where do you draw the line?
You draw it way before any of this happens. If I'm being honest with you, I mean, this is not where you draw the line. You have to draw the line way before this.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
Clearly not, because the Browns weren't willing to, the Saints weren't willing to, the Falcons weren't willing to,
Panthers,
the Panthers weren't willing to, the Commanders weren't willing to, the Eagles weren't willing. I mean, like none of these teams were willing to draw the line. So, yeah, this is getting ugly by the day. But
yeah,
we'll get into it more on Sunday. Who knows? By Sunday, it might be 45 women. Who the fuck knows? At the rate we're going. Yeah, this is bad. But we're gonna get up out of here. It's Monday night. Let's hope we have a competitive game 6. And listen, I think if you're an NBA fan and you want competitive, good, solid games, hope and pray for a game 7 on Sunday. We'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back either way. So if there's a game 7 on Sunday,
next time Manny and I talk, we'll know who the champion is.
One way or another. Yes. Yeah. We can guarantee that. We will know who the NBA champion is.
The champion.
The next time we speak. The next time we convene here on this platform.
Yep.
So little spoiler alert there. We will know who the champion is, one way or another. Yep. Maybe they've been crowned on Thursday. Maybe they'll be crowned Sunday night. Who knows? But we'll know. Hey man, anything you want to share with the listeners before we get out of here?
Nah, I mean, my podcast, The Dime with Josh Rodriguez, is pretty much coming to an end because the season's coming to an end. But if you want to follow it, you can at The Dime NBA and all social media platforms. You can also listen to it at The Dime with Josh Rodriguez. Just search on all podcast platforms. We'll be having a mock draft very soon, which is my favorite episode of the year because I get people from across the whole country, different podcasters, different media people to make picks for their teams. And then I interview them and we do a whole draft as if it's a real NBA draft, and it's a lot of fun. So check that episode out.
It must be a lot of fun to have a draft pick. I don't think the Lakers have one for now until 2035.
I'd rather make the playoffs.
You're right. No, I'm lying. I think the Lakers do have their first round pick this year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, they don't. Went to the Pelicans.
Yeah, there you go. We're still the receipts of the Anthony Davis trade. But hey, we got a championship. That's all that matters. Yeah. Go check out The Dime before it goes on hiatus for the season. As you guys know, MLBBro.com, Debatables, new episodes each and every Thursday. Dead End Sports every Tuesday. Although I haven't been on in a while, I need to go on and set those guys straight. Be the voice of reason. Yeah. Tuesdays and Thursdays on Dead End Sports live and only on YouTube. Of course, if you like us, subscribe to our channel. Any Given Sunday podcast. Review, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the podcast anywhere where you can find podcasts on the internet. We are there. Go follow us at Josh_Rodriguez_ at the Manuel Brown, all the good stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go make sure you go follow us on Twitter. Go follow the show at AGS Pod on Twitter, AGS Podcast Instagram, AGS Pod Any Given Sunday on Facebook. All right, that's it. Josh has got to go. I got to go. We're out of here. We'll be back next Sunday or this Sunday with the podcast. Everybody have a happy, safe, blessed week. We are out of here. Peace.